I know how hard it is at the very start of your nail journey to book in clients, make appointment and get new clients in and start to make money. In this video, I'm going to explain who are the good clients and who are the bad clients and how you're going to find out which one is which and how to find better clients who will be loyal to you and they're going to keep coming back and getting the nails done by you. The thing is, a lot of nail technicians think once they finish the nail course and they have the setup and they start to advertise themselves that if it comes to a client, it's more than enough if they just no matter who, just sit at the table and they will pay me at the end. But if you think that way, it is really, really wrong, and I'll explain why. Before we start to advertise ourselves, we have to understand a few things. So there are two different kind of clients. One of them will be the bad clients you don't want, and the other one's going to be the good clients, the ones that going to be loyal, and they will be your favorite people. And in this video, I'm going to help you to find out how to find out if you have good clients or bad clients. So let's dive in. How you can recognize if someone is a bad client. The first thing would be that they are never on time. So that means that they are always late. Let's say you have a 2 o'clock appointment booked in with her and she shows up 15 minutes later, 10 minutes later. It obviously means that they don't respect your time, or it can mean that they have bad time management. If whatever it is, it doesn't matter if they don't show up on time. Usually it's a lack of respect for you. The other thing can be when you ask them to do something and they don't do it. For example, you obviously tell them don't use your phone because you're working on the nail surface, and if they start to touch their phone and they can make the surface go bad and you have to restart it over and over again. If you ask them kindly not to touch their hair, their skin, because some people love scratching and all, that can ruin your whole thing you done before. Even if they are on their phone and do this kind of stuff, it is a complete red flag if they are not willing to listen, because it's also lack of respect. The other red flag is when they change their appointment in the last minute. Let's say they have a 2 o'clock appointment with you on the same day and they message you half an hour earlier that sorry, I can't make it, or can we change from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So basically they think they are your only client and they believe that you're sitting at the nail table all day long and waiting for them. That's another red flag, okay? When someone tries to be friendly with you, but you get the vibe that they just want to be friendly with you because they want you to give them discount because they are your friend. If somebody wants this from you, it is really, really bad. I tell you something, I have a few clients who become a friend, but our friendship built over a year, so it wasn't something really quick and came out of nowhere. It took over time. But I tell all my friends that this is the job what I do for a living, what income I get from this job. I pay my bills, I pay my rent, I buy food and these kind of stuff. I cannot afford to give you discount because this is what I do for a living. I always tell them, if you want to go to a restaurant and have food, I'll pay for the bill, I don't care. But don't ask me to give discount because we are friends. Also, if these people are your real friends, they would never try to devalue your service because they are a friend to you. So basically it means if that friend is a true friend, they would never ask you to give discount for them because we are friends. The next one will be when they cancel you in the last minute. Let's say 2 o'clock appointment and they send you a message 10 minutes prior to the appointment, sorry, this and that, whatever happened, and I can't make it. I will tell you in the next phase how you're going to find out if it's a good client, or how can you decide if it's a good client or a bad client, because even if it's a good client, bad things can happen to good client as well. But in the next section, I will explain how you can tell if these are good ones or bad ones. Okay, but usually it's a bad one. This one is when you're sitting with the client and you're in the middle of the session and they keep asking like how long it's going to take to finish, how long it's going to take to finish. And either they tell you or you get the vibe that they should be somewhere else and they just try to rush you. It could be the same thing like the very first one, that they are never on time, that either they have bad time management or they don't have the respect for you. If somebody is a high value client, I can tell you straight ahead, if, for example, I go to get my back massage done, right? And I know that it will take me 25 minutes to get to the place. The massage will be 1 hour, maybe another 5 minutes chat and another 25 minutes back. So it's going to take me 2 hours. So I know I'm not going to book in anybody or make another plan in an hour and a half. And I tell the girl, massage me faster. You know what I mean? So the thing is, if somebody really wants to spend the time on themselves, and that would be the thing that they're getting their nails done, they will take the time for it, and they wouldn't try to rush you to go faster, faster, because I have to be here, I have to be there, I have to go to the shop, I have a yoga class or something. So they will make the time. If somebody is rushing you, it can be an exceptional one thing, but if this whole pattern keep coming back, and it is happening all the time, it means the two things what I just mentioned. Either they don't have good time management, and or slash they don't have the respect for you. Also, I would like to mention, once you notice this kind of characteristics in clients, it is really good thing to recognize it, but also it is not your job or my job to teach them. I mean, like, to teach them to not to do this. You can ask kindly, like, you don't like to rush, you don't like to work under pressure and these kind of stuff, but it's also not our job to teach them how to do this better. Probably it happened to you too, that you get a message out of nowhere from someone, and it's, let's say it's a Tuesday 4 o'clock, and they be like, can I see you in a half an hour, can you book me in the next half an hour? So basically they want a last minute appointment, but like a very, very last minute appointment. Usually these people would never really be a returning client and never going to be like a really loyal client. These people probably decided in the last minute that, oh my God, I want to get my nails done because that would be so fun. And probably they sent this message to another 15 nail technician. And if one of them gets back to them, they just take it. And basically these people called takers. I never really book these people in because I know it's never worth it. Also, I guess it happened to more of us as well, when they book an appointment and they never show up, and they wouldn't get back to you later to explain why they didn't come. Obviously, if somebody is playing that game on you and maybe a few hours later they wouldn't come back with an explanation, obviously you shouldn't take them, because they would play this game again and again and again. In the good client section, I will come up with a story that happened to me, and I will explain how this can happen to a good client and how you're gonna know if it's a good client doing it or a bad client doing it. But now let's go on the next. Please show up hands if it happened to you too. When you have a client and they keep constantly coming back with damaged and broken and cracked nails and a lot of lifting and these kind of stuff. I would like to state a very important thing before I get into this. I don't know if you do this in your nail sessions. If not, probably would be the better idea to implant this. Please take notes. So if I have a new client and I don't know what the other nail technician did or told them before, but if I have a new client who is at their first nail appointment with me, at the end I always tell them this. What to do with your nails and what not to do with them. And I tell them, don't pick them, poke them, bite them, lick them, don't play with them, don't bend the ends and these kind of stuff. If you flush the toilet, you don't flush it like this, you flush it with your nickel, because if you overbend the nail, it can crack, because obviously here is the most bendy or the most vulnerable part of the nail. So if you overbend it, it will crack there. I tell them not to use strong chemicals, or if they clean and use it, put on gloves and be careful with their nails. And obviously they understand what I'm talking about. I think it's my obligation to tell them how to live with their nails. It's the same thing if you go get your eyelash lifted and the girl will tell you, don't put water on it for the next 24 hours, otherwise the whole thing will be like, right? So as nail technicians, we have to tell the clients what to do and what not to do with them, because how would they know if nobody tells them, right? So after all of my clients knows about these rules, and the client is keep coming back with a lot of lifting, with a lot of cracks and breaks and these kind of stuff, it means that they are either very clumsy or they didn't give a flying toss what you told them, and they just have no respect because they'd be like, I'm gonna go back to her anyway, she know how to fix the nails and my nails will be pretty again. I had a few clients like this. I get rid of all of them. Like, I'm just not willing to deal with people who have no respect for me. I know it sounds a little harsh or I seem a little picky, but if you've been doing this job for 9 years, after a while, you will have enough of people who just don't give a flying. I know it sounds harsh, I know, but I sit here for an extra 45 minutes just to fixing the crop what she did because she didn't pay attention or she doesn't care at all. And when I would charge more money from her, she's completely pissed, like, how dare you? Yeah, and I can tell her, like, how dare you to ruin the nails when I told you what to do and what not to do. So it's a personal preference, but if I was you, I wouldn't take a client like this in the long run. Obviously, I would bring the attention on it. Like, I noticed that this part of the nail is always missing, that part of the nail is always missing. What are you doing? Because if you have a conversation with them, you can find out what's going wrong. But if they keep doing it exactly the same way, they're just not worth it. Not to be mean, but just try to imagine if you suffer with a client like this, who is not careful with their nails and you have to fix the damage every single time. After a while, it's going to give you the feeling, am I not good enough? Of course you are good enough. They are not good enough. If you know what I mean. The other thing is just try to imagine, like, from the business point of view, that I'm suffering with this client for like 2 hours and I get paid for one set of nails. But if I had 2 nice clients, I could do 2 set of nails in 2 hours and make double money. So basically, these people are takers and time and money wasters. The ones who can't apologize for their mistakes. Let's say they were 5 minutes late and they just sit down like nothing happened and they can't say, I'm sorry, there was a traffic, or if you live in Northern Ireland, it's a completely legit reason to be late from somewhere if you're stuck behind the traffic because you can't overtake and the tractor is really, really slow. So if they can't say, I'm sorry, apologize for the mistakes they did, or they broke the nail and they can't say, I'm sorry, it was my fault, and they always blame someone else. Let's say, oh, I was late, but it wasn't my fault because my husband couldn't find my car keys. Or I can see that this nail is not there anymore because it came off, but I don't know what it was. So basically, they're hinting that it was nothing to do with them, but it's basically you, not them. This characteristic traits are like a big, big, big red flag. So basically, these are the clients you don't want. These people are takers. These people will bring you down and they will make you to question yourself, your self-worth. Not worth it. And I explain why, because what I just talk about, these kind of things, sometimes it can show on nice people. If someone has one of these bad things, it doesn't mean that they're a bad client, but it's just worth to watch out. And I'm gonna go on to the good one as well, and you will see what's gonna be the big difference, okay? So these things I just mentioned, some of them will be that kind of thing that you're only gonna see if the client is keep coming back for a few times for a few months, because obviously you can't tell if for example, somebody's breaking their nails. Obviously, they have to come back for infills to see that how they are doing with their own nails. But I tell you an example. I have a client who is 110% good client. She's so good that she couldn't be more good than whatever the best means is, right? And one time she called me and she said, I have to cancel my appointment, but it was like 10 minutes to the appointment. And she said, I'll call you back later. And I said, okay, no problem. And obviously it made me feel crap. Like, why did she cancel on me in the last minute, like 10 minutes prior to the appointment? And she called me back an hour later and she told me that my daughter got her driving license and she just started to drive a few months ago, and there was a car accident and it was her daughter's fault. and her daughter was calling her when she was on the way to me to get her nails done, that she was in a car accident and she needed help because she was alone in it and she just didn't know what to do. And obviously my client went there and sorted the things out. And I told her, I completely understand. And I think you would be the worst mother in the whole world if you didn't go to your daughter to sort this situation out. Would be sitting here on a nail appointment with me. There are some exceptional stories that just make sense. I wasn't mad at her at all. Obviously, I had to book her in on another day and stuff, but that's how you know if somebody is a legit client, because this lady really wanted to get her nails done, but something came into the picture. Obviously, she called me back. She apologized 14 times and she said, can I see you the next day, or what is your next available appointment? Obviously, she canceled on me and she made an effort to come on that appointment that worked better for me because she canceled on me. So that's how you can find out what I said. Sometimes there are good clients and bad things happen to them, but the question is how they handle the situation. If this situation would happen to a first time coming client, obviously I would be like, it's really hard to know if it's a legit story or just something made up crap. But that's what I'm saying. I have known this lady for years, and at that point when this happened, she was coming here for a year and a half, so I knew her character, and I knew if she comes up with something, and I know it's gonna be not gonna be like a fake crap, it's gonna be legit. Also, one more thing, sometimes it helps you to find out someone's character if you know what their job is. So this lady's job is, she is a big area manager for a care home. She is a big boss. She has to take a lot of responsibility. She has to look after a lot of people. She has to hire people. She has to fire people. She has a lot on her plate. And if there is someone who has this kind of really serious role with a lot of responsibilities, usually these people wouldn't mess around, if you know what I mean. So I could say that this person is reliable, even if you're just looking at their job. Well, after hearing all of these kind of things, do you think you have bad clients? If you do, please leave a comment, because I'm very curious if these kind of people show up at other nail technicians as well. Now let's get into the good ones. Let's find out, how do you find out if your client is a good client? So the first one will be, they always show up on a time or even a few minutes early. I tell you an example. I have a client, actually, she was here today like an hour ago. She is a teacher. I live like on the countryside, like half an hour away from Belfast, and she lives in this area, but she works in Belfast. So her appointment is always 4:45, but we put it on 4:45 because she has to go through a lot of traffic when she's like driving home from Belfast, and we always leave an extra little time for her if she's stuck into a traffic or something like that. But she is always early, nearly always early, and she always sends me a message, hi, I'm here. And sometimes she sends me the message half an hour early, or 25 or 20 minutes early. Today it was 50 minutes early, but she respects me. She knows that I'm home because she can see my car in front of the house. She knows my car, she knows I'm here, but she also knows that I have another job right now. I have a lot on my plate at the minute, and she knows probably I'm eating or doing the dishes or whatever I'm doing, or sanitize for the nail session, and she has the respect for me. She messages me, I'm early, can I come in? But she wouldn't be like, she comes here half an hour early and she's like buzzing me like, let me. No, she has the respect. That's how you find out, one of the things, if it's a good client. The other thing is that you can tell that they look after their nails. It doesn't mean that their nails are always perfect, but most of the time they are okay. And obviously bad things can happen to good people as well. Yes, sometimes it can happen that they had a little accident here or there, but they will admit it and they will say, I tried to open the car door and it was raining and my finger slipped and the nail just did this and there's a crack on it and it was really sore, but it's not sore now. They will be upfront with you, they will be honest with you, they will be straight with you, and they will explain what happened, and they know it was their fault, and they don't try to blame someone else. The other good sign is that they book appointments ahead. What does this mean? We're sitting at the nail appointment and her nail is in the lump, be curing the top coat. We are nearly on the end, and I get my diary and I'm gonna open it on the next third week. Same time, same appointment, because that's what client loves. Actually, this lady loves Tuesday 4:45. I have another client who loves Monday 10 o'clock in the morning, if you know what I mean. So they book the appointment ahead, they plan their life, they know they want to come back because they want to treat themselves, and they already want to know what time, what day they come in, because it's important to them. Obviously, the bad ones will rush you and the good ones won't. Basically, I explained it just a minute ago that they will take the time for themselves. They're gonna create time. Let's stick with this lady. She lives in here, she works in Belfast, she travels probably over an hour every single day. They have 3 kids, they have music lessons for the kids, they have football and Gaelic and singing and whatever it is. They have a lot going on, but she's always asking the husband, can you mind that these 2 wee ones, when I'm getting my nails done and I'm gonna come home at 6 and I'm gonna eat something and I'm gonna take the kids for the football match and stuff. So basically, good clients will make time for themselves. Good clients will sit here with you and they will have a little chit chat with you, and they are kind of most like friendly kind of people, because it's important for them that, just try to imagine if you're a client and let's say you have 2 kids and you have a lot going on. They love to come here to sit down, chill, complain, have a laugh, gossip, do whatever. But everybody needs a little time away from their family. They don't pick up their phone because somebody is calling them, unless they have like a sick husband or a family member or parent or something, if you know what I mean. So that's how you know if it's a good client, that they are willing to take time for themselves and they treat themselves with something nice, and they are willing to take a little bit more time for it. It's actually a very small thing, but you can tell if they are a good client and they like you if it comes to Christmas and they bring you presents or give you a Christmas tip. Last Christmas, I think I got like 3 kg of chocolate and I got over £200 in tips. So they give you cash actually. Sometimes, I know, long story short, sometimes you can tell that the people, what they give you, they got it from someone else and they just gift it to you. But they're still thinking of you, if you know what I mean. But you can do the same, like just gift it to someone else. It's a human being, actually. It's not gonna be true for everybody, but nice people who becoming like loyal to you, you will know their whole family. You're gonna know their husband's name, you're gonna know their sister's brother's name, their kid's name, you're gonna know what is the color of their kitchen counter or top. Like, they will share stuff with you, and these kind of stories will keep coming back in the conversation. Like, I have a client who has a shop, who has horses, and I know the whole family, from the parents to the husband and kids and everything. Because, okay, she has been my client for 8 years. Like, obviously, you're not gonna find out about this on the first appointment or the second one. But if you've been in the business for a while, you will see that there will be people who you're gonna get to know them. They're gonna get to know you, and you will be really friendly. Like, my clients usually always ask about me. What's the deal with you? What's going on with you? There was a time when I was on the dating apps and they were just breaking the door. I mean, like, what happened? Did you date someone the last time I seen you? And it will be like a good crack, if you know what I mean. And you're going to feel comfortable with them. That's a very, very big good sign, actually. It's going to be the same again. Bad things can happen to good people if they have to cancel in the last minute because they have a legit reason what they explain. They are willing to pay you cancellation fee, and it is a big sign of a good client, because if they're willing to pay the cancellation fee, it means that they have the respect for you. They understand that the only way you can make money as a nail technician if the client is sitting there and you do the job and they will pay you at the end. But if they have to cancel because something is going on for them and they can't sit at the table with you and you can't do the nails, that's why you can't make money, and you charge the cancellation fee because you have a policy, they're willing to pay the fee because they understand that they put you out. And here's another one. If they have to swap an appointment, let's say that you book them in for the next 3 weeks and they have to swap the appointment, they will give you more time in advance to tell you that they need to change the appointment. It means that they're not going to tell you 5 minutes before the appointment that they need to change it. They're going to give you a week or 10 days notice and you can swap easily. Also, the same thing is that if time to time people asking you to change their appointment because something is going on for them, and if you have to swap for another client, they're willing to give you the favor in return. That means that if they ask you to swap for them, and if it comes to that, you ask them to swap for someone else, they will do it for you. That's how you know if there's a bad client who thinks you are just like a server like this. Completely legit example. I have this client who has a really rich husband. She's spending the money like this. She's like a nice nice kind woman actually, but she just loves to show up in like a really careful way. And oh, they are always on the road, always on the way, always booking holidays and doing this kind of stuff. And she was a Monday morning client and she told me, oh my God, we decided to go to Scotland, so I want to change my appointment because I can't make it. And obviously I had only one night free, that was my Friday night, and she took it. So she is that kind of client who would never be free for you unless it suits her. She wouldn't willing to make any kind of effort for you just to be a bit more flexible because she understands how busy you are, and she just takes whatever she wants when is the best and most convenient time for her, and after that she doesn't care at all. These clients are not nice. Yeah, they're gonna pay you the money, but otherwise they are crap. So now we find out who are the bad ones, who are the good ones. And now, basically, we have to understand that you have to filter people to find out who can be a good client or who are the ones who are bad, like right off the bat, okay? So basically, the way you can filter people is that you have a policy. If you don't have one, I highly suggest to make one and start implanting in your business because it will help you to filter out the really crap ones. It was probably 3 years ago, and it was maybe June or July. In 1 week, I lost £400 on last minute cancellations. And for me, that was the sign that I had enough, and I started to do the policy. It was an awful week, but I did my policy 3 years ago, and I wish somebody would have told me like years before, because I wouldn't have had that many last minute cancellation and no shows. Like ever since I have my policy and I have deposit and cancellation fee, I cannot tell you how many no shows I had, because probably I had none. So the first thing to do is ask for deposit. I live in the UK and there's a law, actually I talked to a lawyer, and there's a law that you cannot charge more than 50% of the price of the service as a deposit. I charge, so once you think about that, you have to charge an amount that is not going to be more than 50% of the price, but also it's a big enough amount that the person would feel losing if they don't show up. So I decided not to charge a fiver, because if I ask for a fiver, they're gonna laugh into my face, first of all. Second of all, if they are not in the mood to show up, more likely they won't, because it's only a fiver. So I decided to charge £15 deposit. Obviously, from the end amount, it will come off. So basically, they just pay the rest when they are on the appointment. If there's a double booking, like I had a client who was a bride, and the bridesmaid booked in together, obviously I was asking for a £35 deposit because it was the two of them. But if it's a one-person appointment, I charge £15. I don't know what's the law in your country if you watch me from the US or India or from anywhere else. I would suggest to talk to someone who knows this kind of rules, because I don't want to put you into trouble if you copy me and let's say it's completely different in your country. So if I was you, I would dig into it just to stay legit. So I booked someone in and they paid the £15 deposit. Let's say the service was £50. That means that they owe me another 35, and 35 plus 15 will be 50. But let's say that they're happy enough and they want to come in for another appointment again and they want me to book them in on the spot. I will charge £15 deposit for the next appointment as well. So I'm not gonna let go the deposit because they showed up once. It's the same thing. If you are hungry and you go to the shop, you buy the food, you pay for the food, you bring it home. And if you get hungry again, you're gonna go into the shop again and they're gonna make you pay again, right? So the next appointment won't be free. So basically I always transfer the deposit over and I always tell them and I explain them and they're okay with it. So all of my client who is coming to me, everybody has deposit paid in. Probably the deposit is the best filter. Once you are in the chit chat with a new client and they say, I would like an appointment, and you find out what appointment will work for both of you. And I always say, to book this appointment, I take £15 deposit and you can pay it through bank transfer or PayPal. And if they don't get back to me after that, that was a good filter because I know more likely they wouldn't show up. Long story short, if the conversation stuck or they would basically just ghost you because you ask for a deposit, probably these people be like, you know, if I'm in the mood, I'm gonna go. And if I'm not in the mood, I'm just not gonna go. You don't need these kind of people, right? So if somebody really wants an appointment, they're gonna book the appointment and they're gonna pay the deposit for you because they understand how you work. If you're really scared to do this, just try to imagine you are in that country where you are in right now and you wanna go to Ibiza. And you need to buy tickets, right? Flights. And the flight company will charge you the 100% of the price prior, right? So they're not going to be like, yeah, here is a seat for you, sit down, and once we landed, you're going to pay me. No, you have to pay up front. And if we can do this with flight tickets, why cannot we do this with a nail appointment? Of course we can do it. I know it's a little scary, but it is hard to start at the start. But you will be okay with it, and people who understand it, they won't take it personal or not gonna take it as an offense or something. Also, in my policy, there's a rule: if somebody is late more than 15 minutes, there's a chance I'm not going to be able to take them. If I have another client after that, obviously I would run into them, and the other client has nothing to do with this actual client's problem or not showing up on time. So I'm not going to punish the next client because this one couldn't make it. So I make them aware that if you late more than 15 minutes, probably I'm not going to be able to do your nails. And obviously normal people will understand this. Crop people will take it as an offense and they're going to leave you. But I think it's better if they leave you and they're not coming back, because sooner or later they would, if you don't tell them, they're going to play the game with you all the time and they're going to put you into trouble. Also, I tell my clients, if they're running late a few minutes, just tell me, send me a message, call me up on the phone, say it's going to be an extra 5 minutes, on my way, something, because there is no worse thing ever on earth when you're sitting on this chair waiting on the client and you don't know what's going on and you're sitting like people understand, like 99% of my clients are always on time, so I don't need to do this. But if they don't show up, let's say the appointment was at 2 o'clock, I always wait 5 minutes and I call them, are you coming? Because what if something happened? You know, not thinking the worst or not suspecting that they are just awful behavior, like what's going on. So I always wait 5 minutes because it can be really like a red light or a tractor or something. But if it's more than 5 minutes, I always give them a call because I want to know what's going on. So basically, if there's a client who is a very good client, but they have one bad quality, it doesn't mean that they are bad clients. So you don't have to send everybody away, because if you really want to find a mistake, you will find a mistake in everybody, even in yourself or myself. So life is not black and white. So we have to be a little bit more understanding, obviously. I tell you one example. I have a client, she has been coming here for like 7 years, and she is the nicest woman with her nails because she's so careful with them. Like I don't think there was at least like one time that she had a little crack on her nails or something. Like she's coming back with perfect nails. But she was always late. And it is just such an awkward thing to say, like, hello girl, like could you come a little earlier, because you know like in 10 minutes late and all. And I didn't want to hurt her because I know it's just like kind of a little awkward. But there was one time when she showed up right on time, and I didn't say anything, and I was doing her nails and we had a conversation, and she went like, yeah, um my husband needed the car, so he drove me here. And I said it a little funny way, like, so that's why you showed up on time. And we started laughing. And ever since, she's always on time. So basically, she understood the hint. So the thing is that we have to be careful when we're judging the people if they're a good one or a bad one, because even a good one can have one bad thing. But if you have someone who is like, you can just tick the boxes, yeah, and all the bad traits, probably they are rubbish and you don't need them. But I keep saying that bad things can happen to good people too. There is one more big turn off for me from the very start. When I started this whole business, I didn't want clients who would cancel on me because they don't have money to get their nails done. I always wanted clients who have more than enough money and they're willing to spend the money on themselves, because I didn't want to get cancellations because I have to wait on my paycheck and stuff. I think it's kind of, not to hurt anybody, obviously, but I think it's an awkward thing. I'm sure you heard this before, like attracts like. So if you want high value women, you have to be a high value woman yourself. I don't go to other nail technicians because in this area, I don't find anybody good enough. And I do my own nails. But as I mentioned you in the other video, I go get a back massage because my job is affecting my back, and that's what I'm doing. I'm in another project right now in my life, but I do go and get a facial. I get my eyebrows done. So I spend money on myself because you need to charge yourself with something. Just please understand that you are a provider. You provide beautiful nails to women. You have to charge yourself, because if you keep giving, you will run out. If you want people sitting on your desk to get basically a luxury treatment, because basically getting your nails done is not essential, you have to start to give yourself something regular, on a regular base, to attract people who are willing to give the same thing to themselves. I really hope I didn't say it in a too difficult way, but I really hope you understand what I mean. And yes, like attract like. So let's say if you are that kind of person who is never on time, why would you expect someone to come to your place who is right on time? If you have bad time management, why would you expect someone to have a good time management if you don't have it? So if you want nice clients, you have to grow into a person who is a nice person, if you know what I mean. So if you don't like to take responsibility for your actions, why would you expect people show up at your door and be responsible? I tell you, one of my biggest mistake I ever did with nail clients. So it happened 2 years ago that I have a client and her daughter wanted to book an appointment, my client's daughter. And I booked the daughter in for a Thursday at 12. And I had a morning client and I had an evening client. And I opened my diary on that morning, but I don't know how I didn't see that I booked the other girl in at noon. So I had the morning client, I did her nails, and I was like, okay, I have nothing else to do until the afternoon, and I was gonna go on a holiday, so I needed to buy some bikinis. So I sit in the car, I went to the mall, and I started to shop for bikinis. But the thing is that the internet ran out on my phone, and I was like, I don't really care because I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna check it on the Wi-Fi. And I had my best time ever in the shopping mall, and I was shopping for bikinis, and I came home and I had 6 missed calls, and I had like 4 or 5 messages from a client. I was like, why would she want to do anything with me? Like, I have nothing to do with her. And I don't know how I completely forgot. And I opened the messages. I was like, oh, I forget about her. I called her back straight ahead and I apologized. I'm so sorry. I messed up. It was my fault. It was my mistake. I'm so sorry. When can I take you? When would be the next time you can come back and I can do your daughter's nail? Yeah, I took responsibility. I admit that it was my fault and I didn't blame the internet. I didn't blame the weather. No, it was my fault. So this client is still coming here and her daughter's still coming here too. But that's the thing, you see, that I was willing to say it out loud. Yeah, I messed up. Yeah, it was my fault. I was willing to take the whole thing on me because it was my fault. She knew my character and she told me, it was very funny because she was sitting in the car and she told me, like, I was sitting here with my daughter and I didn't see your car and I thought, if you're not here, you would be here no matter what, but if you're not here, it must be something so bad happening that you can't take the phone call. You had to go and you will explain later. She had the faith in me that there was something awful going on and I had a very good reason not to be there. And I was like, oh my god, no, I was just buying bikinis. And we were laughing because, you know why? Because at that point she was coming here for like over a year and a half, so she knew my character. She knew that I'm always sitting here. She knew that I'm always ready for her. She knew that I would be willing to change appointments for her and stuff. And yes, I made a mistake and it was a one-time thing. That's how you finance someone's character. So if I'm this kind of a good chick who is willing to say sorry, who's willing to admit and apologize, of course I can expect that someone else would do the same for me. You know what I mean? So long story short, we have to have these qualities in ourselves if we want these characteristics to show up in people who come to our business. So the big question is, how are we going to find these people who are good enough for us? It's going to sound a little dumb. I know it always sounds a little dumb, but we have to create an avatar. Not the blue people in the movie. We have to create an avatar and we have to imagine what a perfect client looks like. And I tell you how you have to do it. It actually just only an example. These things can be different if you live in a different country. I tell you mine roughly, and probably you're going to be able to go from here. Okay, so it could be between age 30 and 60. I like to work with older people, in my opinion, because I don't like to do nails for 19-year-old girls who want long and a lot of gems and the crazy crap. I'm not into that kind of thing, but that's why I targeted 30 and 60, because that is the age range when people make good enough money, they're financially stable, and they want nice looking nails, not the crazy ones, okay? For me, because I live on the countryside, I don't want someone to come from more than 25 minutes drive away. So I like people who are around me and I'm like kind of an easy reach for them, if you know what I mean. So I want them to live in abundance, and I explained this before, that I don't want people in my nail business who cancel appointments because they don't have the money. Of course, they have respect for me. If somebody is behaving completely disrespectful, they're out the window. I mentioned in my previous video, I had a client. Don't freak out what I'm just about to say. I had a client, we were in the middle of the nail session, and she started to do this with her nails. And basically she put back all the dust what I just removed, and I was gonna ask, because I couldn't. I was gonna ask, would you like long lasting or short lasting nails? And she started to yell at me like this, with this tone. And why am I so effing rude, and who the F I think I am and stuff. And I took off my face mask and I told her, now I'm not in the mood to do your nails, leave now. And I sent her away. Like, if they don't have the respect for me, I have no respect for them, and I send them away. I'm not willing to deal with, let's say, low quality people. Okay, so the next one is that I want them to be on time. I don't want people who messing around with my time and they don't show up and they forget their appointments and these kind of stuff. For me, there's another important thing because it's a nail appointment. Of course, we are sitting here and we have the chit chat, you know, the funny laughs and this kind of stuff. For me, it was important that I want people around me who are chatty and they are open, like they have like an open personality, and we can chat about, it doesn't matter if it's we talk about fashion or TV shows or food or whatever, but you just have like an easygoing conversation, because I think sitting in here for 45 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes in awkward silence is just awful to me. So for me, it was an important thing. The other important thing for me, that I want them, that their outlook and their self-care is important to them, because obviously if it's not important to them, why would they want to book a nail appointment? I know this whole kind of avatar like sounds very weird, but you will understand why it's going to be important. So that's why these qualities can change in your country, because maybe in your country the population is more younger than here, or in your area there would be like a lot of universities. Obviously you're going to be able to target younger people. So basically this whole thing can change, depends on where you live. Okay, in my client base, my youngest client is 27 years old and the oldest one is 78 years old actually. So it can differ obviously, but you have to find out who are your favorite people, because probably your favorite people not gonna be exactly the same what my favorite people are. And this whole thing, what we just mentioned, we need this, we need to know this, because that's how we're gonna know how to find the right people. And that's the thing, that you have to target these people through social media, and you have to know how to reach them, how to find them. I know this video is already very long and I said a lot of things. If you have any question, please feel free to ask in the comments. But in the next video, I'm gonna teach you how to target these people on social media, and they will find you and they're gonna book in with you. So I really hope you enjoy this video. I really hope you find it useful and I could help if you had any kind of obstacle in the way to start to build your client base. I have similar videos about this topic for beginners, so I'm gonna leave some links down below. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.